Fantastic. I'm not sure I see any new faces here. If you're a new face and I can't see you, please feel free to just interrupt and announce your presence. Not hearing any interruption, I'll move on to the next item in the agenda, which is outstanding RSCs. Let me share my screen. All right, since we've moved to the format where we've got a mix of both project level and top level RFCs, I'll just start here at the bottom and we can kind of progress our way up. So the first one here in the list is this RFC for bill of materials work. Go ahead, Forrest.
Yeah, so Sophie and I just before this took a look at the comments. I think the feedback is that we needed to unify all of the fields into one overall schema, which is totally reasonable, but we didn't get to it before this meeting. So that will be something that we will get done hopefully later today or tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, I just think it would help if you just saw all the fields together and they were like outlined. I see the like you can tell that they follow a generalized schema if you like read through all the fields and match between them. But okay. Next up on the list, we've got this IBM Liberty Build Pack RFC.
So I see it's been approved by Emily and Ryan. That the PR has been approved. So I guess I need to understand next steps. I guess that would be to put something out on community.
Hey, Emily, we had talked about moving this to the Java subteam. Does that still make sense since we're more or less have approved everything at this point?
Yeah, Dan and I synced up earlier today and we had started moving other things to the Java subteam, and we realized that, you know, looking back on this probably could have been a Java subteam, but I think since we've already made it through the approvals and like we figured out our subteam strategy halfway through this process, I'm fine not moving it for this one. So I think the next steps here would be moving repos into Paketo community once we get this merged and getting everyone set up. Unless I'm missing anything.
Yeah, Kevin, did you start work like in your own repo on this, or has work yet to be started?
I have a working kind of prototype on my own repo. Actually, it's an internal enterprise Git repo in IBM, but I could put it out on my own repo in public GitHub and eventually move it to community.
Okay. Yeah, I think in the past, that's what we've done is there's like a transfer feature. So you can transfer ownership when you're ready to do that.
Okay.
I need to do a better job of documenting this. There are a couple of changes that I would appreciate if we could make just to the PR itself, which is the actual file name. Can we pick a number that's like the next highest number that's currently in the text directory? So you just look at what's on the main branch right now, like change this to be like the next highest number. The second change is, can we also include on the README, there's under this like accepted RFC section, just a link to that RFC in its new location. I need to document all of this and like write it up. So, but yeah, now that it's been approved, adding those and we can just get it merged immediately.
Okay, I will do that.
There's probably room for us in the future to do something with automation there as well.
Sure.
Which I know we do on the CMB side, just because when people are opening RFCs, you never know how long it's going to take relative to other ones. So it's hard to get the number right.
Oh, totally. I don't expect
Yeah.
someone to open it with an RFC, but like once it's been approved, we probably can like say the number should be whatever at that point. Okay. Anything else here? Doesn't sound like it.
Oh,
Okay.
I think I
moving.
there was one more thing.
Mhm.
More of a question for Kevin, and maybe we can take it offline if we want. But we were just kind of wondering about maintenance and once this does get merged, if you're looking to like become a maintainer or contributor on the Java experience team, and you don't have to answer now.
No, I'm definitely interested in being a maintainer contributor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can follow up with you offline and give you some more details on that and the process.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
awesome.
in this RFC, we added a line that said that you, Kevin, and a few other folks would be maintaining these build packs in particular. And I
Yeah.
think that fits with some things we've done on the Java side before, where we adopted a repo and added people to those particular repos. And I think we can do that in community now. I think going forward in the future, we wanted, like in Paketo proper, the maintenance to only be through like the official sub teams of contributors and maintainers through the voting process. So it seems like we could talk offline about what level of formal responsibility you'd be interested in there, and sort of what the process for nomination and voting is. But I think just to pull this into community, since you guys wrote it, we'll just grant you the privileges you want now, and then we can talk about formalizing it when it moves to Paketo.
Understand.
Okay. Next up on the list is this reloadable process types RFC. I know Paul is on vacation, but I think I was the remaining holdout on this. And the only reason I was holding out was it seemed like Frankie had an outstanding issue that I think they felt was resolved at this point. So now I think we're kind of in that same position of a couple items for cleanup on the actual RFC itself, just making sure the like number and a README link or whatever gets set. I can work with Paul to make sure that that happens. But I think this is done at this point.
I think another thing we could consider doing, depending on how reachable everyone is I think we could make those changes manually as part of the merge process. Like if we merge it locally and then add a commit to fix things and then just push it to main. That's what our
Sure.
automation does on CMB, and it comes out on the PR with still with the merge label if you use a merge instead of a rebase. So
Okay.
if we can't get a hold of Paul, we could probably still merge it.
Sounds good. Next up, we've got a couple of Java related new build packs. Does anyone have discussion thoughts on these?
I talked with Emily on this morning, and we moved both of these to the Java sub team. Just felt like it would be better positioned there. So.
All right. Anything to discuss here in the main discussion?
No, I left a comment saying that we should move this for these two in particular, although we normally take things in through community, go directly to Paketo, just because we already have robust automation in place for updating JVMs and stuff like that. So it seems like it needs less time to incubate and stabilize. Like once we get it up, it should just work.
I think that's reasonable. I think the intent between the community and the top level one was really about like proving out that there's like a need for this broadly and that we can support it to the degree that we have an expectation to support. So if we think that's already been met, I don't see an objection to just putting it in the top level one to begin with.
In which case I think Dan made this change and I just need to add my approval to this, which I think I did for the other one, but forgot to do for this one. So I think if these are Java subteam, these are both basically ready to merge as well.
Yeah, I did add that stuff. I think I just forgot to update the title in this one.
Okay. I'll skip over this one. I think it's covered in the previous discussion probably. Next up, we've got a proposal for a UPX Build Pack. I know I looked at this one this morning and it looked like, Dan, you made some changes and yeah, it looked good to me. So I went ahead with my approval at that point. Anything else to say here?
It's like we're going to get everything merged.
Yeah. It's been a bunch of stuff sitting in this backlog for a while. So it's nice to see some stuff actually land.
Oh, I guess I did make a suggestion here to move this to the utilities team, which means we probably want utilities maintainers to do a review on this.
This is true. The utilities maintainer team is pretty large. Emily, both you and I are utilities maintainers, but beyond that, it's a few other folks. So Arjun, Dan, who wrote it, Tim, and Sophie. If y'all want to take a look, more votes would be better on this RC, considering it's something we're all going to end up kind of being responsible for.
Yeah, do our rules say majority?
I cannot remember, but that sounds about right. I'd love to see a majority rather than simply just a couple.
Yeah.
Can
I think
can
depending
have
on
a
whether
vote on
you
that?
count the person who raised it, I feel like generally if one of the voters is someone who opened the RFC, that just counts as a yes, because GitHub won't let you approve your own thing. So I think we are technically at a majority, but I'd love to just get more feedback from the rest of the folks in the maintainer group.
All right, so we'll wait for a couple more votes before merging this. And then the last one here on the list is this proposal to add libz to the tiny runtime image. I know this is something that these stacks maintainers are looking at. Anything to add here at this point? Does not sound like it. Okay, that covers all of the outstanding RFCs. I don't think there are any language specific RFCs this week because I saw that the long-standing WIP RFC on the .NET repo was closed this morning. Maybe that will come back when it's more fleshed out. This leads us to a couple other items on the agenda. The first one here is Slack groups.
Yeah, this is me. Yesterday I was going through and updating all of the Slack groups to reflect the latest team configurations on the community repo page, and I noticed that we have groups for both maintainers and contributors. And after talking to Ryan for a little bit about this, I'm wondering if it actually makes sense for us to have a contributors group for each team, and instead to just go ahead and get rid of all of those groups and just have an @ for each maintainer group. I didn't want to just unilaterally decide to delete a bunch of groups, and I was wondering if anyone was here had actually set up those groups, and if so, if there was a reason why.
Boris, I didn't understand what you said. What do you want to do instead of having the individual teams for contributors?
So no, in the Paketo Slack, you can utility maintainers and at utility contributors. I think that the contributors group doesn't make a bunch of sense. It would make more sense to be able to just add the maintainers. So I'm just saying that we get rid of the contributors group. Take that deafening silence as approval, or the fact that no one cares. So I'll probably go through and delete a bunch of those.
I think mostly it came out of like a couple of things. I dread having to keep any of that stuff up to sync ongoing. And so like the more teams we have, the more things I just have to like do as administrative maintenance work. And then the other part is I couldn't really imagine a scenario where someone wanted to just address just the contributors to a team. I almost feel like it's more likely a situation of like somebody wants to ping the maintainers because they want like somebody who's got some experience with the language and the build packs and probably wants to do something like unblock a PR or something like that. Or the other case is somebody wants to broadly just ask a question about the language, in which case I would expect somebody to like adhere the Ruby channel or something along those lines. So I just couldn't really think of a scenario where it made sense to have like a specific team that was just the contributors.
I agree with that. I think the channel can serve that need. Like the contributors on a team should be in the team's channel and keeping an eye on what's happening.
Awesome. Forrest, are you going to take an action item to get rid of those contributor teams?
I will go play housekeeper and get rid of all of those.
I appreciate it. Okay, the next item on the agenda is this website homepage redesign feedback.
This was me. So Frankie and Andy, they've been doing a lot of good work, just redesigning the whole website. We started this discussion thread this morning just to solicit feedback around the homepage design so far. So take a look when you get a chance, add in any feedback on there. That would be much appreciated.
All right. Any questions on that? Doesn't sound like it. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Any other items folks wanted to bring up in the working group meeting today? All right. Sounds like we're going to merge a bunch of PRs. It's been pretty productive today. I'll give you all the rest of your time back and we'll see you next week.